Alright, so for this lab, we're going to look at some of the speech science measures of stress and prosody. And those include frequency, that's covered in this first part, as well as duration and intensity that are covered in the next part. So first off, in question number 1 here, we have a recording of Will Ran, which has been analyzed by Prot for the fundamental frequency to create this image here known as a pitch track. And we are going to look at the intonation contour in terms of measurement of pitch. So in particular, I'm supposed to locate the lowest frequency, and that looks like that's way over on the right. So maybe I can put a thing in here to help mark that horizontal line to give you an idea what the frequency value is, and a vertical line to mark time. So that looks like a frequency of about 160 at a time of 0.9, 0.95, maybe 0.975. 160 at 0.975, mostly recording the time of that measurement just so that we know where we got the data. The highest frequency is over here. So if I do the same thing and put a vertical line in there, looks like that crosses around 370, and oops, let's do a simple line at a time of 0.156 maybe. Okay, so a frequency of 370 at a time of 1.6. Yeah. Okay, so the pitch range here is the maximum of 370 minus the minimum of 160. Gives us a range of 110. Okay. And then as we look at this intonation contour, we see that it reaches that early peak and then falls off. So the best description of that pattern would be as a rise-fall intonation pattern, hitting a peak at a stressed item and then declining after that. And regardless of what the content of the sentence is, a lot of rise-fall intonation contours will look just like this on a pitch track, which you can get in Prot in the pitch menu by turning on the show pitch. And then there's a variety of ways you can display that, including the whole draw it out to the Prot picture window thing to make a nicer version like this one. Okay, so in the second question, we have waveforms and intensity traces for the word cat extracted out of a sentence. In one version, the word cat was stressed, and in the other version, the word cat was unstressed. So we will take a look at the measures of duration and intensity for these two versions and use them to decide which one is the stressed one. Okay, so first part, looking at duration, it says mark the onset of voicing for the vowel and the onset of closure for the second stop, the t, and then compute the vowel duration. So, okay, so here we have the k, and then the a, and then the silence and the t release. So we're looking at going here to here to get the duration of that first vowel. and that goes from 0.31, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little bit, 0.365, I guess, and it starts at just a little bit above 0.17, so maybe 0.172. Okay, so the onset of the vowel is at 0.172 in time. The final T closure is at 0.365, 365 in time. So the difference between those things is 0.365 minus 0.172 is 0.193. 0.193 seconds long. 193 milliseconds would probably be how it would be described, but Prot likes to do everything in seconds, so that's what I stuck with. Okay, so for the second word, we can do the same thing. Start of the vowel is there, and the end of the vowel is pretty much right on this axis, maybe a hint after. But we could say it ends at 0.3 and it starts at 0.1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. So from 0.14 to 0.3, giving us a difference of 0.16. That one I can do in my head, or 0.160 maybe, to make them comparable in terms of the number of decimal places. Okay, so word A on the left has a little bit longer vowel than word B on the right. They're the same word with the same A vowel quality, so that is a straight up comparison. Word A on the left has a longer duration than word B on the right, or I guess I should say the vowel within that word, so we would expect the longer one to be the stressed one. Hopefully intensity will give us the same result. Going to basically do the same process. What's the range from the highest to the lowest intensity? For the word on the left here, the highest intensity looks like it's that little blip right there, but actually that whole kind of area is pretty equivalent. Lowest intensity looks like it's way down at the bottom at 0, so let's call that 72. And 0, so that the intensity range is 72 dB. Okay, for the word on the right, my highest intensity is again in about the same place. Looks like about 68, and the lowest intensity, boy, that sure looks like it's like right on 10, so we could use that. 68 and 10. So the difference of those two is going to be 58 dB. So we have one that is longer in duration and louder in amplitude. So we're going to say that one is going to be the stressed one. And okay, so A is going to be stressed and B is going to be unstressed on the basis of a greater amplitude range and greater duration of the vowel in the stressed syllable. So between intensity, duration, and looking at pitch, we can analyze prosodic cues like intonation and stress. We just have to be a little bit careful if we're comparing two different things to make sure that we're comparing equivalent items, because as I mentioned in the lecture, there are pitch effects for different vowel qualities and intensity effects for different vowel qualities and duration effects on the basis of voicing of coda consonants and things like that. So you want to make sure those things are equivalent before you make a comparison.